Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf.
And I'm Emily Thompson.
We were just sitting here chatting. We're like, oh my gosh, we got to get started. So welcome, everyone. Say hi. We are brand ambassadors for Brother, and we are popping over to their Facebook and YouTube page on the sewing and crafting side. But we have some really fun things for you today. So yes. I have a few tips for you on using the single hole needle plate and why you would use that to sew things like silk chiffon. Not that I'm sewing that today, Emily, because it's like pouring snow and ice. I don't know about you.
We have the same snow.
And Emily has a fun project too. Emily, tell them what you're going to be doing today.
So today I'm going to show you how to make some rope baskets on your sewing machine. And you can make lots of different kinds with different ropes, and great for those of you who are trying to start the year off with organization and finding homes for things. So it's, pretty easy sewing project, but kind of a fun one and a little bit different, something to sew on your sewing machine.
Very fun. I love those. I love those, by the way. Those are great I use those around the house to just drop them. I mean, trying to organize, but I use it for like chains when I'm walking in the house. Yeah, and then all of a sudden I have a ton of them, but I'm looking so forward to that. So Emily and I were just laughing. So I just have to ask you all. So, January is kind of when we organize. I think you had the best phrase ever, Emily. Best intentions, not so good execution.
Not so good.
That would be mine. So I decided, which I'm not showing you that side of the room, I decided to pull out all my bolts of fabric and organize them. First, I started by color, and I was like, no, that's not so good because I'd like the silk charmeusas to go together and the silk chiffon. So I just have a question for all of you and for you, Emily. When you organize your fabric,
yes,
you organize by color, by season, by type of fabric, because I've got a hot mess over there, and I'm not even sure if I should keep going with the color or go back to my idea of doing the types of fabric, because I've got, 200 bolts of fabric.
So you have way more than I do, for sure. But I've been doing seasonal just because in my sewing space, I have limited storage. But downstairs, I can make piles of things. So in this little hutch behind me, on those top shelves, I have seasonal fabrics that I'm actually sewing with right now, but I do end up making trips downstairs and, digging out a flannel that I put away or whatever it might be. So I try, but it's not perfect.
I know. And, the worst part is I also have downstairs, and that is kind of seasonal, but this year, it is my goal to get this organized. But now here's the problem. And I think this is where fabric hoarding comes in, is because I just got a whole bunch of new silks in. And then I realized that they're really hard to find right now. I went to order a different color. I can't even get it till March. So now I just want to pet the fabric and not use it to make sure it doesn't go away.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, gosh. So speaking of silks, that's what I'm going to show first thing today. I just want to talk about using the single needle plate, which you will not be using. But for those of you that do like to sew really fine fabrics, and maybe you're sewing satin pillowcases or something fun like that for Valentine's Day. Not that you have to be for Valentine's Day, but we're kind of bored, and that's like what a lot of things that I've been doing lately. So I'm going to take you over to the Luminaire and show you that first. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm excited to see this because I actually haven't done this either. So
this will be fun. And also, by the way, as I'm walking over there, I'm going to take you to the machine. As I'm going over there, Emily, somebody wants to know if you made your own top.
I did. Yes. So this is one of my patterns. And then, of course, hack to the pattern, which is to create the snap neckline. And several years ago, I saw my sister, and she had bought a top like this. And I thought that was just so fun because you can unsnap it all the way, to the drop shoulder and then have that look or tighter. And so it's just snap tape on a modified neckline. So yeah, it's fun. There is a tutorial on my site, I think snap neckline. And I also did this for an It's So Easy show before as well. So one of the episodes, right. I don't know which one. Yeah.
And anyone who's not paying attention, her website, all the websites are down below.
Yes.
All right, so I have my machine on. I better turn it off. The first thing I want to show you, this I think is the coolest thing. And I know everyone has different versions of Brother machines, or you're thinking about it, but this is the Luminaire. And this I think is hands down my favorite thing because I use a lot of silk chiffon. So it's soft, it's slinky. And if you've ever sewn and gotten your fabric stuck in this hole right here, you're going to know why I changed the single needle hole. So this is how easy it is on this machine. You pop this. Slide this out, slide this back over, and boom, you're done. Now, I actually just put the other one on. So I wanted you to see the single needle one. So it's that single hole right here, which means you can't do decorative stitching. You can't do zigzag stitch. It's just for that itsy bitsy hole. So imagine this fabric here. If you're trying to sew, it's going to be well, I'm not going to say 100% impossible because anything's possible, but it's a pretty good odds that you're not going to get your fabric stuck in there. Pretty good odds. We'll go with that. Better odds. So I'm going to put this one back on. And again, just to compare again, as I turn the machine on, and I have contrasting thread in there. And so here is the wider one. Now this is what you would use just on a normal daily basis, especially if you're doing zigzag stitch like what Emily's going to be doing, or decorative stitching.
I actually just dug this one out for the machine that I'm going to use, and I had noticed this extra stitch plate and I didn't know what it was for. So I'm super excited about this. But you can see this one is a little bit smaller. It's not the full plate, it's just partial, but that's with the Essence machines it looks like this. So yeah, they look a little bit different, but yeah, that's perfect.
It's so funny you say that, Emily, because for years I never used, well, a lot of years ago, because I use a lot of silk now. But when I first started sewing many years ago, I got all these things in the box. I had no idea what they were. Exactly. And that was one of them. So I just store them. Usually I don't use a single plate all the time, but if you're using a thin fabric like this, so just a few more tips. I have this just folded right now just because I'm just going to sew just a little bit of an edge. But this is great to use maybe a rolled edge on. Now, right now, I just have the standard J-foot on. I'm just going to use a straight stitch. Make sure that your needle is in the center position. If you have one of the machines that moves it all the way to the left for any reason, that's not going to work here. Yes. And if you're really worried, well, actually, I don't mean worried, but if you really just want to double check, just put your needle down and make sure that it goes through that hole. Because I have done this on an older machine, not this wonderful machine that won't even let you do that. But I have done it where I accidentally wasn't paying attention and that popped a needle, and it scares the living daylights out of you. Okay, so I'm just sewing just barely on the edge. But one thing I want to point out is when you sew with a really thin fabric like this, don't start at the very, very edge. Start in just a wee bit. Like, these are new words for the day, right? Wee bit and not so much. Would you like a real measurement? Because that isn't coming out today, I guess. All right, so when I first start stitching, I like to use the stay stitch, and that's right here on my machine. And that just locks the stitch so I don't end up with a whole bunch of thread built on here like a back stitch. And it was kind of funny. We just did an entire tutorial on this in Fashion Sewing Club last week, and I thought, this one's like so basic. Everyone should know this. So then when you're finished, again, do the stay stitch, and I'll just show you what it does down here. And using the contrasting thread, look at how nice that looks.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and so then the other thing is if you're going to do just maybe a small rolled hem, you just take your scissors, glide. I use serrated scissors for silk or chiffon. This could be a polyester chiffon too. It doesn't have to be silk. I'm just a little bit of a silk snob. Not snob, I just love it. I guess that's a better word. Some people like chocolate. I like silk. All right, and now you could take this and fold it back over and do a little rolled hem.
Yes.
And again, don't start at the very end. Start a little bit down. So you just want to give yourself a little bit of room. So like I said, it's a high probability that it's not going to end up in that little hole, but just in case. And I'm just going to stitch kind of on next to this line since I'm using a contrasting thread.
Yep.
And look at how easy that is for just a small rolled hem. So that's the back side. That's the front side. So the front side just has one row of stitching, and then the back side has two. It's one of my favorite little hems, and I love that needle plate. So That is just a quick
cute.
tip for sewing silk because, I have to say, even though it is, what do you say, snowing here, I'm really into some spring stuff now. So you have your needle plate right there, don't you? Since you were so small, do you still have that with you?
Yeah.
Did you have that in your hand?
I have it right here.
And since you were so tiny, I know everybody's going to want to see that. So, yeah.
So this is, and I'll show you a close up on the machine that this goes to here in a minute. But this was, in all the stuff that's in my drawer. And then I all of a sudden just realized, yes, that's exactly what it's for, because there's the tiny single hole. So I'm going to have to try this because even not on silk or chiffon, there's been a couple things. I'm trying to think what recently was giving me trouble by going, getting messed up. So this would be definitely something I need to try.
And I know I could say by a show of hands, and I would put 2 hands up, how many times in the years that all of a sudden you start sewing and you're in a hurry and you have that really tricky fabric, or even some of the really fuzzy, furry fabrics, like the really thin stuff. Even those sometimes will get embedded right into that needle plate, and it is a pain to get out. So just a quick thing, but you can't do the zigzag stitch on that. So
no. It's good to know. And I would definitely have to make sure I changed it out as soon as I was finished. So I didn't sit down to do something else here and then be sad. So
I cannot wait to see this bowl. Everyone, you ready to see Karen says her cat is watching the live demos, and somebody else said their dog watches. I'm glad that we can be entertaining for your pets too, right?
Cat entertainment. Okay, so this one sits on our counter and is full of electronic cords, but this is one of the areas I want to organize. So I'm restructuring that because the electronics just pile next to this and I hate it. So, but here's all the cords. And so this basket, I did a single sort of handle or hook, and it actually hangs on my backsplash wall. So I have a little sticky hook and it goes on there. But today what I'm hoping is to add 2 handles on either side of the basket that I'm going to make. So I made this one. Well, this was one of the first ones I made, and you can see it's with a bigger rope. And I actually really love this, but it's squishy. It doesn't really have much structure. Even in the bottom, it's pretty round and it doesn't stand up very well. So this I've learned since I made this one, and I've made several others too, but I just kind of wanted, these 2 are very different. So I wanted to get these out. And then this one I just zigzagged on a leather hanger as well.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So this one's just like a little pod that, so because it doesn't really stand, I was like, well, it has to hang. And my husband comes home and he puts his keys in his wallet in here at night. And right now his mints got left. So that's what's in here today when I grabbed this. But it looks cute with the little leather hanger, and you could see how, you could have several of these hanging in one spot and it's cute. So this is the fat rope, and I'm not going to use this today, but this one, in order to get started, you really have to shove it under your machine. So use tweezers or what the stylus, is that what's the pointy like metal stick called that you can buy?
I just call it tweezers, unless you're talking about the straight one.
Well, but there's also like that pointy metal thing you can use to help like push things under your.
I use it all the time. Oh God. Wolfpack, help me out.
What is that called?
AWL. AWL.
Yeah, right. So that, so you can use that to get it started. And once I got it started, it did so. And of course, if you have a machine that you can adjust the pressure on your foot, loosening the pressure will help. But I did just sew this on not this one, on my more basic model sewing machine, and it worked great. So it's just a matter of getting it started. So that is this one. And then this one is made with a stiffer rope, and you can definitely see that it has a nice shape. And getting the shape to do what you want is a little bit of a learning process. I would assume, just like if you were working with clay or some other art form. So this one isn't perfect. There's like a weird dent here, but I have improved and given lots of these for gifts over the years. So it's really fun to do. So this is a cotton like clothesline rope, and it works really well. Today, I'm using like a paracord rope. So it's not quite so cottony, but it is nice and stiff. And so, and not too thick, but not too thin. So you can get this like at a craft store, or even like a hardware store will sell different types of ropes that are fun to use for this. So that's what we're gonna start. So I'm gonna switch over to the camera by the sewing machine, and then I'll show you how hopefully we can get started and it will do what I want to.
Sounds good. While she's talking, I have to tell you, I cannot wait to see this because I don't know, Wynn and I have decided that we have to get rid of all these TV remotes. I mean, I know that they should all be on one, but it never happens that way.
No.
And I can see making one of these bowls for all these remotes that you can never find when you need. It's just, all right.
Yeah, so I have made, you know, really, I think the last one I made for a friend was nice and tall and, you know, maybe 12 inches across. So you can get them to be pretty good size after a bit of practice. I'd probably say start small. And this one isn't going to be too huge because this is only 100 feet of rope. And it does take, I think, more than you would think it would. So I'm putting on like a heavy duty needle here. So, you know, a jean, this is, I think, a jean needle, but you definitely want something that is a thicker needle for sure to go through this. So that would be the first thing. And I have gray thread on the top and the bottom. The more coordinating your thread, the less you will see of this, which is good. And then I'm going to change my machine to a zigzag. And it doesn't need to be a super small length or width, but I'm going to start and then I might adjust the width or the length depending on how it looks. But this looks slightly blurry. Does it look slightly blurry? I'm just going to clean this, wipe the screen here. That looks better, doesn't it?
That looks way better. It's amazing.
Okay. I don't know, from storage or whatever, maybe it got.
Hey, so everyone watching, by the way, ask your questions, and what I'll do is monitor them while Emily's making this, and then when she takes a break, I'll ask them all for you. So I don't want you to think I missed any of these, but just real quick, somebody just wanted to ask one more time, what needle are you using? Anything special?
This is a jean needle. So I would do like a jean or a leather, just a larger gauge, not something small.
All right.
So the first thing we're going to do is sew the flat bottom of the basket. And with how tiny this rope is, I'm not going to anticipate this one getting huge because you can see as I'm sewing this, it's going to take a long time to get this. And if you want it round, then you want your first fold to be pretty small because we're going to be sewing it in a circle. So for the first bit, it will be a little tedious. If you want it more oblong, which I'm going to try, then you can make your first fold a little bit longer. So let's try for a little oblong basket, more of an oval. And I like to start sewing at the fold. So you're going to fold your rope, and then you're going to keep it pinched together and put it under your needle, hopefully.
Emily, what machine are you using?
This is the Essence 5200. So I think it's like below the Luminaire or the Stellaire. I'm not sure. It's, I don't know where it falls exactly in there, but.
It is, but it's a great machine. And I was just noticing how bright it is. That's like, it's really well lit under there.
So I actually just turn this up. When I'm doing photos or videos, I always turn it down so it photographs well, but I was hoping for today that this would help you be able to see. So, all right, so we're gonna try here to catch both sides of the rope. And you can see I'm using my tweezers just to try and help it get fed through there. Okay, so sewing down that fold that I made. And then when you get to the end, you're going to lift, pull that back around, put it back down, go a little bit across the end. The end is not very wide at this moment because it's just a tiny fold. It definitely, the shape evolves as we go. And then we're going to turn it around again. Definitely need my tweezers or your awl in here to help you catch and then get started again, because when it's on the end here, it really kind of wants to be stuck a little bit. So it gets easier. This is absolutely the most tedious part here, is starting the foundation, but this is the bottom of the basket. So that is an important part as well. And then, like I said, for rope, you can use a cotton clothesline rope, or this is a nylon rope. But I've made it lots of different kinds. I would just say a rope that is a little bit more stiff if you want your basket to not be floppy. And you can see, even as I've just done a couple rows here, that it's pretty easy to gain momentum as I'm going. And I'm also sewing it completely flat to get it started. So when we do the sides, that's also where it's kind of another step, because you actually have to form the basket and the rope as you're sewing. And we should get here where I don't have to pivot. I can just turn. Ooh, I was able to make that turn. So now we should be able to get a little bit of rope out here. Now we should be able, around these corners, to just turn it and then come back around. And then we can actually go a little bit quicker here.
Yeah, now you can just keep rolling and rolling as big as you wanted to make it, I guess. So just while you're doing that, there's quite a few questions, and I just want a couple of them just while you're going. Well, she's using the zigzag stitch, Nancy, but someone asked if you would just be willing to say what length and what width is your zigzag stitch?
Sure, of course. So this is, I just left it on the standard for this machine, which is a width of 3.5 and a length of 1.4. Now, when I used fatter rope, I definitely made it wider in the width, so that I could easily catch both sides of the rope when it's, a wider thing. But this is working right now. So you could just do a little test, take 2 pieces of rope and test your length and width before you started sewing to make sure that it was catching it. And I have noticed that sometimes I'll get all the way finished and realize there's a little hole in the side of the basket, but you can easily go back and just zigzag the hole shut.
Well, that's good to know. Kelly says it's like that aha moment when you're like, oh, yay, now I can keep going. I don't have to stop anymore.
Exactly.
Going
and actually, you can make some coasters. So doing the same method, my son made his teacher 2 rope coasters after he saw me making a basket last year, and he said, I want to make my teacher something. So I got him started, and then he sat here and was able to just sew around in a circle and create 2 little rope coasters. So that's another fun idea that you could do with the rope.
That's what I was thinking right before you said that. I was thinking this would be a great project for kids.
Yeah, I think I did the first few rows around, but once it gets to this where you're just sewing around and trying to keep the rope centered, it's really not tough at all. Forming the sides is a little bit trickier, so that's why I just said, let's make a flat coaster. And but actually, as I'm looking at this right now, this would make a super cute dollhouse rug. Look at that. It looks like a braided rug, but like dollhouse size.
Well, that would.
What it's reminding me of right now, especially this oval shape. Okay, so I'm going to go a couple more rounds, and then I'm going to start to form the sides, hopefully, and see if I can show you how to start the curve. So right now I'm keeping this very flat, and that is to hopefully make the bottom of the basket as flat and as stable as possible. And then when we want to start forming the sides, we actually have to manipulate the bottom so that we're no longer sewing right on the side of the rope, but you're actually sewing a little bit more on the top of the rope and start forming the shape. So as I get on this side here, I'm going to lift. This is going to start twisting here. I'm going to
Some of the girls are saying that they're in groups, and I can think of a couple where they've been embroidering on these and for coasters, and they are so stinking cute. There's so many different things you could do with this, and it's an easy project.
That is really fun. You know, I was actually thinking last night when you were saying you were going to maybe do some embroidery of how you could embroider on this and how it, so I wonder what kind of rope they used. Was it a cotton rope or a nylon rope that would, you know, make the embroidery work better? Because it is, you know, it can end up pretty thick, the walls. So, okay, so here I'm going to start twisting the bottom of the basket as, and I see a hole that I've already got, but we'll go back.
The good news is we can't see it, so no worries.
Okay, good. So I start to actually hold and sew like this. Actually, I'm going to just make my width just to 4, give myself hopefully a little bit more leeway on catching both of those ropes. But so eventually, yeah, you want to curve it up, and then you're sewing on the side of the rope and the different angles of the rope to create the shape.
Emily, this is coming together so quickly.
Yeah, it really, I mean, it's just kind of a pedal to the metal and then keep going around and around in a circle. And I'll do a couple rows, and then I'll show you how I form the handles, because that's really fun too, to be able to have the little built-in handles on the side. So there's my little hole there.
I think that's one of the best things, is that if there is a hole, you can go back and fix it so easily. You won't even see the stitching on it.
No, yeah, it's totally fixable. So I'm rotating with my right hand the basket, and then the left kind of making sure that the rope is feeding through as straight as possible. And your basket should start to take shape after a few rounds of holding it up like this. And then it's just a matter of holding it. Now, I'm going to have to take this off and move it to the outside. You know, you can see this is here, and it's running into this top. So in a moment, I think I'm going to have to remove it and start sewing it on this side. But I actually really like using my right hand for turning it and my left hand for the rope. And then if I move it over here, it's the opposite. But when you run out of space, you run out of space.
I see some of you guys rolling in a little bit later. Don't worry, you'll be able to watch this from the beginning. It's great, and she gave a lot of information. So some of these duplicate questions, if you just, as soon as we're finished, you start at the beginning, you'll get all those answers. And hey, Joanne, thanks for popping in here and give everyone links to everything we're talking about.
Okay, so I'm just doing a little back stitch, and I'm going to take it off and go back over, and so you can see it's looking super cute and, you know, like a basket, and it's actually really nice and stiff with this nylon cord. But what I need to do now is, can you see that hole? So, and actually there's a small one below it. So I'm going to fix those two real quick. It is easier to do it before you've done the whole basket, because at this point I'm not sliding like inches and inches of rope inside my under my needle. I just have, you you know, a little bit here. So do what you need to. But I think I need to go check out the embroidery on this.
That little piece that you just pulled out, I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's so cute. I could put, if unfortunately it's rope, but I was thinking, she says a soap dish or a bathtub. And I was thinking, oh, you can tell I'm hungry. I was thinking, you could put soy sauce in there for dipping, but it's rope, so it's not going to work.
I wonder what kind of rope you could use that it would work in the shower, or, like for a soap dish, because it is super cute. But what do you, I just wonder what, I
wonder if you could do that, the whole bowl, and then just add, a couple weeks ago, I was showing how to use that clear vinyl, maybe just add some clear vinyl on it or something like that on the inside. Oh my gosh. So you're going to end up with 500 projects by the time we're all done here.
Or like paint. I wonder even if you coated the rope with some sort of waterproof coating, you could probably do that. Okay. So now, really cute. I'm trying to figure out, I'm going to reverse the bowl.
So true, Kim. To put the nuts in for my squirrels.
Yeah, there you go. Little squirrel feeder. Okay, so I had to reverse the bowl so that I can keep sewing, because now I'm kind of feeding it the opposite direction. So we're going to go around a couple more times, and then I'm going to add little cute handles here on the short end of the rope. And so now you can see my left hand has to do the turning, and my right hand is feeding. And I know it's a little bit less of a good view, which is why I wanted to start on the other side. But I'll just go around a couple times, and then we'll add the handles. So I'm just trying to keep this up as much as possible so that the sides continue to build upwards instead of outwards.
Oh, good idea, Kelly. Good idea. Use it as a base. That's a great idea. Your machine is so quiet. I love this when we're live, because usually, if it wasn't, we would really know about it, because you're right there.
Well, and I can talk usually, when I'm doing my own live shows, I can continue to talk over it. And occasionally someone will say, oh, it's so loud, we can't hear. But most people don't have any trouble, being able to hear both at the same time. So I'm so thankful. Okay, so this time when I get to this end, I'm going to back stitch to secure the end. And I'll cut it off and take it off just to show you what I'm doing. But
oh, yeah, there's the handle.
So we're just going to add a little handle here at the end. And then next time when I go around, I'll actually sew another layer on there. So I'm going to just try and clip this here. Can you see that? So that I can try and get it under my machine while it's maybe the tweezers too, everything. And then make sure when you start again that you back stitch again. And then we'll go around and we'll do the same thing on the other side, or you could just have it on one side if you want to. So it's up to you. If you want one-sided handle or two. And then I usually do 2 or 3 rounds on top of the handle. So, and then, eye up and try to make them.
Bring it just a little closer for a sec, just so we can see the handles. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. So easy.
So easy. So, make sure you back stitch right here, because especially if you're actually using this handle, it will get wear and tear on it. And I'm just trying to use the clip, but I'm actually going to want to start sewing, right. Well, you can see how that one's a little bit smaller. So maybe I should actually start sewing a little bit there. So just manipulate it to hopefully do what you want, not what it wants, but that's the constant battle.
I agree, Arnell. I love the handles. In fact, I could even see like some of the first ones that you did with the little handle, like you said, you hung it up on the wall. That'd be such a great place to put like just a little hanging with a few different ones and have all your sewing notions, maybe some buttons in one, some thread, just when you're trying to just organize things quickly, I think that would be great.
So now I'm getting back to the other side of the handle. So I'm actually going up and over on the handle to make it double layer on the thickness. And then you can see as I'm sewing the sides, I'm still keeping the basket up. And I'll go around and then I'll take it off and show you up close.
Ibby, I don't know. I don't think these would be food safe. What I was referring to is I've got these little cups that I put soy sauce in case you're wondering, just to be clear.
Yeah.
That are food safe, that you could put that right there. I don't think these are food safe.
Any fabric, make your own decisions on if you're putting food in it.
Oh, Joy. I have hair. I'm pretty much in a ponytail every day except when I'm live. Even then I am. And what a great idea to have little ones for your hair ties. So I've got hair ties, clips all over the place. That'd be a great way to organize those.
And really the size of your basket is determined on the size of your bottom that you make before you start curving up. So, you can just keep that in mind as you're deciding how big do you really want it to be and what's its purpose going to be. But I've had so much fun really making so many different sizes and shapes, and everyone really turns out unique, which is also fun. Okay, so then when you want to finish it, what I do is take it off. So there's my
gosh, that is so cute.
Start. And I could have made the sides much higher before I did the handles, but I also wanted to not bore you to death sewing in circles and, demonstrate how you could make little handles. And of course you can make these as big or as little as you want. But then I cut off this rope, and I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it this size, so I'm not actually going to stop it, but I'm going to be done for this purpose. But you would cut the rope, and then I zigzag like a ton over the end of the rope. And if it's a rope that can be melted, I would also try and melt that end before I sew it to make sure it doesn't fray. I'm going to just switch back over to the front here.
Oh, she's.
But
yeah,
this one,
really
you
cute.
can see after we've used it for a while, and I didn't tack down. This actually was a little bit of like a ½ inch of frayed mess here that I trimmed off before I was showing you, but it's starting to fray. So either try to glue it or melt it or really, really sew it down to try and, keep that from fraying. But it also, I think, depends on the rope. This is a plasticky rope, and that's more of a cotton rope. So, that's going to affect that. But here's kind of the close-up.
This looks so good, Emily. I just love it. So is there any, two things about the rope. Is there any special place that you'd recommend where you're going to end that rope? Is there any place that's a little bit more hidden that you might want to put it? Is it on the side, or do you go near a handle, or it really doesn't matter?
I think I'd go near this handle and then end it, kind of there. And if you're going to sew like the leather handle on, you can easily hide where I ended it.
Oh yeah, because that's a much thicker.
This rope is huge. Yeah, and it was definitely trickier, and it's softer, so it's got the squishy basket. But you can see, yeah, compared, this one is huge. And I started with this, which maybe wasn't the best because it was harder. But you can see it, just the zigzag still holds it together, and you can't really see it once you step a foot away. So it's still a really pretty way.
I love it. And did you have any, just because I know someone's going to ask, did you have any issues with that wider rope going around? Did you have any problems with it? Did it just
no
stitch with a little bit?
It keeps going once you get started. Getting it started was really hard. Like I had to forcibly shove it under. Again, that's where if you have like a tension adjustment would help. The machine I was using did not. But once I just forced it through, I'm trying to think here on the bottom. So, I didn't try to do tiny circles to start with. I think that would have been really tricky. So my first one would have been like down here, and then, or probably up here, and then it's backwards, continuing around. But yeah, so the thick rope is really fun, and I would love to find some thick, like stiffer rope and try that to get in there.
That'd be great. I'm just thinking a great beach bag. You know, I got summer on the brain right now.
Yes.
I'm just thinking
all the summer on the brain. So there's little handles, and even after you've made it, you can kind of continue to try and, you know, change the shape how you want it. But of course, the higher you go, then usually the more formed your basket looks. I added the handles so it looks a little bit more like a dish than a basket, but you just keep going around and around.
So have you made any that were so large, like Polly's asking, where you had to add additional, you know, lines of rope, or maybe you change colors?
Right. I have not, but I think you could easily change the colors and I wouldn't probably change the colors in the same spot if you were doing it multiple times. I probably would stagger it around because it maybe would do a little bump, but I would probably just try to cut the rope at an angle and then put the other rope on top of it and go over it several times with the zigzag. But it would be good to add like a stripe of another color. But you can, I mean, because this is like rope for industrial things, or if you go to a hardware store, you can buy hundreds of feet of rope in a single bundle. I was able to make a basket. It was probably twice this size, and I still had extra rope. So it was pretty big.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So just look for, you know, big, this is 100 feet, and I didn't make too much of a dent in it for this tiny basket. So we definitely could make, I think this was made with 100 feet. So, you know.
Oh, wow. So you can really do a pretty large. So yeah. Do you have this on your blog, by the way? I missed that at the beginning if you'd mentioned that, because I know you.
I do. Yep. If you go to Life So Savory and search basket or rope basket, you'll find a tutorial and a video tutorial. Yeah.
And the website's right down below, and her Instagram's up here.
You can find it. Yeah, okay, so Caroline's saying she uses cloth tape to join, so that would be fun. And then, yeah, variegated thread would actually be cute. So you can buy variegated color, or not, it's not variegated, but you know the rope that has like the flex in it? That's one of the ones I've done too that's really pretty. So.
Oh, I've never, that would be a fun one, Janice. Have you ever tried that where you wrap fabric around the rope?
I haven't, but I've seen those because that's how they make some of those rag quilt or rugs. That's the word I'm looking for, rug. You know, as they wrap it and then zigzag it together. But I haven't ever tried that.
Maybe that'll be our next attempt.
Yes. And Amanda's saying I should have laid the rope out before I started sewing it, which would have definitely avoided me getting these kinks as I'm trying to pull it out.
That happens when I did it too. So I think it's just you're doomed sometimes when it just happens that way. And of course, if it's live, it's for surely going to happen that way.
But I could keep sewing and just, you know, straighten it out from now because this end is loose. So I haven't gotten myself into a corner with both ends being tied up. But yeah, one end is definitely easier. It's, you know, the same when I was just recently sewing a long length of elastic and I was pulling it off the spool as I was sewing it. And yeah, it starts to get all tied up. So think ahead.
Kim says that's half the fun.
Yeah.
So hey, before we go, Emily, I just have to say, I think I saw, let me just share this real quick on the Brother blog, which the website's right below. I just want to share what is on here. I think this is, hold on one sec. Make sure I have the right one up here. I think I saw, was there an interview with you on here?
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I shouldn't be asking if. I actually started to watch it right before we started today. So that's awesome. So what are you showing here?
So that I'm literally just staging a photo, that one. But so it's just 5 questions and they're written answers. It's not even a video, but it's just, it's kind of like a more get to know me interview. So 5 questions and it was fun. And I need to go look at more comments. I think there were a bunch before, but I'm not sure if there's more now I need to respond to. So yeah, I had taken those photos. Oh, there's a new one up with the heart patches. That must have I didn't see that up yesterday.
Yeah, I brought this up because you're all over the page. So here, this is super cute. So if you guys go to blog.brothersews.com, you can get these. These are so adorable.
Yeah. So that one actually, well, maybe not that one, but I was also on this machine demonstrating the sideways sewing, which is life-changing for patching little knees. But this technique so I did that one on my site, but then this one I was showing how to add knee patches before you even sew up the leggings, which was fun to try to get more life out of them. And it's funny because my daughter always says, at recess, only my knees are warm. The rest of my legs are cold.
You're going to need patches all over.
She hates wearing jeans. But the yellow ones they were already sewn. And then I was showing how to, even on a tiny little legging leg, you can add a patch by using the directional sewing on some of the models of machines. So,
oh, that's so cute. And now you guys can all have a better view of the machine she's using.
Yeah, it's the same one.
And then I saw, well, here's her interview right here. So you guys pop into there. Oh, Joanne, I just pulled these out of my closet. I made these with couching, what she has here. Hand warmers. Those are awesome. We've got embroidered up in it. Let's see. Laura has make your own winter hat. Oh, there's another one, Emily, button neckline pattern hat.
So that's the same, using the same pattern, but just in buttons instead of snaps. And I didn't go all the way across. So I just put 3 on either shoulder, and I actually gave that shirt to my sister-in-law for Christmas, and I'm sad. So I need to make myself another one. But I took pictures in it before I gifted it.
We won't tell her. No. Well, usually got to do that anyways, right?
Yes.
I did that for my sister too, but actually the top that I gave her was one of my Linda tunics and I kind of want it back too, but I just had to make another one. I love this though. So this tutorial, this is all free, guys. So if you go to blog.brothersews, and then Joanne I see Janice has this really cute thing with bread. Joanne has
those for Christmas too. They're so fun.
There's so many fun things on here. And then I saw one more thing of yours. Oh yeah, the flannel blanket.
That was that's a video tutorial and it's a pretty simple project, just 2 layers of fabric, but it's so snuggly. It's become the favorite. So when we're watching TV, that's the one they argue over now.
That's awesome. Those make great gifts too, by the way.
Yes.
So this has been so much fun. I'm just going to double check. We don't have any major questions, but don't worry, because you can always message us too if you have questions. And you can always go to Emily's blog too, or mine. Yep. And we always have a lot of fun tutorials on there. So just reading, making sure we're not missing anything. Everyone's saying these are on their list too.
Jen saying getting the shot in the car, the button top. Yeah, you could probably pull it off. I actually made it as well because my sister-in-law is nursing her baby. And I was thinking that maybe you could unbutton one of the shoulders and use it as more like a discreet nursing top. So I didn't ask her if she used it like that, but I was thinking back to my little child days when I had little ones and thinking that it might be kind of a good hack to have. So you're always trying to think of clothes you can wear and not flash the world. So
that is a great idea. So she's using the Essence. What was the number again though?
It's the 5200. So it's a combo sewing and embroidery. And I love it because it has the 8x12 hoop, so I can embroider all the big things. And also it's been fun. So my cover stitch is actually being serviced, and I took it in before Christmas, and they said, you can pick it up mid-February. And I was, my jaw hit the floor, but okay. So I normally don't have this one out because it is a larger machine, and I have usually serger, sewing machine, cover stitch all right here. But since I don't have my cover stitch, I've been keeping this one out and then playing around with it more, which is fun.
That machine is awesome, by the way.
It's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying, thank you for spending the day with us. You're welcome. So,
guys.
Now, don't forget, Emily has a show tomorrow at 3. Is it 3:30? I should know by now. 3 or 3:30?
3 Eastern. Yep.
I should know these all by heart. So today, this afternoon,
too many
you have
details.
Cindy Hogan at 4:30 with software shut-in. I'm pretty sure hers is today. If not, yeah, I didn't hear that it wasn't. So pop over to Cindy's page. And then tomorrow, 1:30 on my page, 3 o'clock on Emily's. We keep you very busy. And then Thursday, noon here with the Brother Educators, learning some more about, they have the best techniques for My Design Center. And I don't remember what's coming up on Thursday, but I know it's going to be fabulous. So Emily, this is so much fun. So I think I'm actually going have to run and buy some of this rope right now, because in the middle of organizing all this fabric mess, which I'll share a photo on Instagram. That's as far as I'm going, so that you can't like really see what's up. And I would love to hear from everyone if you organize by type, color, or how you organize. I'm kind of a color person, but I don't know. I'll keep you posted. Emily, this has been great. Say hi to your family. And
thank you. I will. You too.
Brothers Sewing and Crafting family, thank you for joining us. And you can always message us. We love to hear from you. And be sure to join us on Instagram. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to Brothers channels, because then you'll always be notified. And if you're watching on Facebook, like the page and you'll be notified as well. So, all right. Sounds fabulous. Emily, have a good day.
Bye.